Hello, and welcome to the Saladcast on Sunday, the 26th of November, 2023. I'm your host, Dan Train. Joining me today, Zachary Burgess.
It's certainly grim.
And Robert Kemp.
Full of grim.
Rob is getting reaped.
Oh, no. I don't like the sound of that. I mean, he's having a proper go at my lungs, I guess.
Yes, I'm only minorly reaped.
I love how reaping is definitely got a negative connotation now, thanks to the Grim Reaper and the reaping of souls, and everything that's a reaper is bad. But surely reaping is about you've grown all your crops and it was hard work, and then reaping is good. Surely,
Yeah.
You want to reap rewards,
and you know reap what you sow is always used in a negative context as well, right?
Yeah. if you sow some good stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty right. Well, I guess you could use it in that context. Some people would be confused, but
Yeah, I mean, you can.
There's nothing to say that saying doesn't mean you get good shit if you plant good shit.
Well, in that song Perfect Day, right, the Lou Reed song that was in that BBC advert years ago, he sings that in a positive way, right?
That's true, I suppose.
You're going to reap just what you sow. That's about,
Either that or that's a really
nice
dark
people.
turn to the end of that song. Like,
Maybe.
He's
Maybe
like,
it's a warning to people, yeah.
No, the entire song is about revenge. Like, it's a
Perfect day.
It's a perfect day. You're going to reap what you sow, mate. I think we've just.
Well, I'm glad I
it.
spent it with you because you're about to reap what you sow.
Yeah. I'm glad.
I love your dark
in fairness,
spins on these songs.
In fairness, we don't know if he's like already murdered the person in question. Like,
It's a perfect day because they're already dead.
yeah, exactly.
This is the thing. I think you're right about this, but you know this story. Shall I tell you this, Rob, about the Elvis Costello song?
Right.
Do you know this? That my mum was a big fan, probably still is, of Elvis Costello. And listened to it in the car. And my mum's name is Alison, and there's a song called Alison.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Alison. And she was like, "Oh, this is such a good song. It's so romantic or whatever." But if you actually listen to the lyrics, and there's the refrain at the end is like, "My aim is true." And I think we was playing in the car, and we were both in the back, me and you, Rob, and you were like, obviously the singer's just shot her, right? Murdered her, right? And I was like, what? But if you actually listen to the song, it's like all about, I'm going to put out the big light. I can't stand to see you this way. I know this world is killing you. My aim is true.
It's clearly a mercy killing.
It's clearly a murder song. So yeah, thanks for the dark twist on things, Rob. But I think you're absolutely right in that case.
Would your mum not more be into a scapegoat wax kind of deal?
Yeah, exactly. A bit more.
Although that's
screaming her name. Yeah,
well, that's its own kind of creepy, I suppose.
There's a Pixie song, Alison, I think with 2 L's, and it's just like, when the planet crashed into the sun, I saw the face of Alison.
Oh, that's
Nice.
Yeah, that's expertly written.
Yeah. I don't know. It's basically just screaming the name over again, so that's also good.
Fine. Yeah. So have we basically confirmed that there are no actual positive songs about Alison?
The other one is not Alison related, but there's that Beatles song, Norwegian Wood, that my dad had listened to, I think because his sister had it on, LP back in the day,
right?
In the 60s or maybe 70s. That's from Norwegian. That Norwegian Wood is from Rubber Soul, so it's like early Beatles album. But that's like a nice tinkly song about but it's actually about like John Lennon going to a groupie's flat, and then she doesn't sleep with him, so he sets the building on fire, Milton style, I think. And I pointed that out to my dad, and he was not impressed.
It's like, why did you have to ruin it for me?
I guess the line is like, I lit a fire, and it's like, it's Norwegian wood because it's like cheap IKEA furniture, basically. Not Swedish, isn't it? But it's like cheap pine or whatever that was. And she's like, "Oh, isn't this great? All my lovely Norwegian wood furniture." And at the
Oh, my
end,
lovely flammable face.
yeah, yeah. At the end is like, I'm gonna let. I wake up alone in her flat. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna light a fire."
Probably smelled quite good.
Yeah, isn't it good? Norwegian wood. Song interpretations.
Lol. Well, I just bought some more IKEA stuff, so you know, like
You did.
I don't know. I don't know
IKEA's
that they
good,
make it
man.
out of Norwegian pine though.
It depends. I mean, the trick with IKEA is like they make you think there are some incredibly cheap things, and they make you think it's broadly cheap, and you're saving because you're putting it together.
But they're
And
cutting
in
back
practice,
on that.
their range of prices is quite wide, and they do expensive stuff.
It's wild, yeah. And I think they've said like within the last few years they're actually trying to cut down to some extent on the insanely cheap stuff that like angle, because it's like to some extent it devalues the whole brand. I think was their.
I mean, the
argument.
lac stuff is ridiculous because it's not. It's made of paper.
Oh yeah,
basically.
it's cardboard.
It's not
Yeah.
wood. It's cardboard.
Yeah.
Which, you know, if you need to furnish your student room and you've got zero money, then
Yeah, exactly.
Mate.
It was one of the things I had a little look at when I was like trying to think of options to build this desk, and it's like, oh god, no, that's not going to work.
yeah, no.
Because they don't really tell you what it's made of. Is the other? It's
No,
like it's hard
they
to
don't.
actually find that information until someone actually gone and taken a hammer to it.
It's literally like a honeycomb, isn't it? Of
Yeah.
corrugated cardboard, like that bulks it out or
It's
whatever.
like good enough for drawing on, but like someone's going to try and sit on that.
Yeah,
and they're going to
exactly.
die.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
What-
maybe it
what
would just
have you
bend
been,
in a sort of like comical
I don't think it's
fashion, you know. Like
It's not very safe. What have you been getting from IKEA? What are you furnishing now?
I finally replaced the TV stand
Woo!
because
After
you know,
how long service would you say?
God. When did I leave home?
2006 or
It's
something?
probably getting on for not quite 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, maybe much less than that. Then. Yeah, so like 15, 16 years, something like that.
Yeah.
Bonkers.
So what's the new setup?
It's an IKEA Havster. So it's a long, low bench that has loads of room for like putting actual consoles in it, and there's it's open back, so there's just about enough ventilation. I think nothing's caught fire yet. So I was a bit like,
Wait till summer.
well, yeah, because like almost every like TV stands suck for gamers, right? Most
Yeah,
of the
they
time,
do.
because they're almost always like either fully enclosed or have like doors or drawers, and it's like you can't put a console in a drawer. How's that going to work? All the
Like,
cables.
as far as I could tell when I was looking, like 90% of TV stands on the market are incompatible with a PS5.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, yeah.
I mean, even I mean, at least horizontally, this one would cope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was I don't know, it finally was one that fit the bill and had front doors on it that they're sliders, but you can at least shut them to a point where it's like Mr. Grabby Hands might struggle a little to damage something or grab all the cables that you can see. So yeah, pretty much ideal. So that's,
Nice.
I did manage to injure myself quite badly whilst building it, though. Like I did my back in properly.
Oh, shit.
I can't
Was
bend
it one of those
anymore.
like stupid cartoons on the instructions that say one person no, two people thumbs
Yeah,
up?
kind of. I think it wasn't really during the build; it was kind of afterwards. So like I'd pretty much got it done, and then was like doing the nightmarish cabling job, which I need to revisit actually because it's still kind of a nightmare. Like, at least start a bit tidier this time. It's very much not tidy at the moment. Yeah, so I thought I was just sort of bending around the back, and then after a while, so I was sort of doing this one-legged like pendulum lean, I suppose. It was a bit yoga-y because my back was hurting, and then I messed my leg up.
No.
So yeah,
Sequential failure.
So yeah, and then I got ill, and we so it's been a good week, a good couple of weeks for me.
But still, when you sit on the sofa in your ill, broken state, you have access to all your consoles and TV.
Yeah, it's weird because it is actually bigger, but because it sits slightly flusher to the wall, because I can put some of the power units inside it as well. it actually ends up taking up less space in the room. Like it doesn't cut into it quite so much, so the room looks a bit bigger. And it's like, oh, well, this has worked out better than expected.
Nice. Yeah, that was pretty bulky, that in previous situation.
Oh yeah. It was. Yeah. It's really ideal if you don't have kids and you don't mind how things look. If we're being honest, because it's just because it didn't have any sides to it, so the cables are just out and open. But I mean, you can tinker with it really easily, and so that's which is why I kept it for so long.
Industrial aesthetic.
Yeah. Still got to go and we do. Eventually, the whole room will change to sort of try and match the more, I don't know, I guess modern cottage vibe, which Gnome's into. So we'll
cottage core.
Yeah, yes.
That's a thing, by the way.
Is it now? Cottage core.
Cottage core. Yeah. Check out that aesthetic. Oh, I found did I tell you already that I stumbled across a wiki, which is a wiki of aesthetics. Just lists all the different aesthetics.
Oh, that could be a good season title.
Because there's one for the sort of, you may be aware of this, but the sort of Web 2.0 glossy Windows XP kind of early 2000s look, where that's called Frutiger Aero, right? Aero, obviously.
Ooh, yeah.
But and Frutiger the font. But the combined, that's the name of that aesthetic. That's obviously long past. That you occasionally see things that are Frutiger Aero style.
There's like Mac Aqua count in that. And,
and Aqua counts as Frutiger Aero. Yeah, exactly.
Huh. Yeah, that could be fun.
But
I don't know why I was thinking about
it's on that list.
I don't know why I was thinking about Mac Aqua the other day, because I sort of remembered that when apps like Theme XP were about and all the rage, and you would be like, oh, but these XP orange buttons are weird, man. Let's why don't we just make everything Aqua?
Oh yeah, I definitely changed. There was a stage of Windows XP where I customized it to have a blue instead of orange, I think, on that dark theme or whatever it was.
Well, there was a variant that I think was official in the end, which was basically dark theme for Windows XP, and I used that for a while. So it's basically all the bars were black, but you'd still end up with an orange start button.
Start button. Yeah, I think I managed to switch that to blue somehow on the dark theme. Anyway. Maybe I did use Theme XP. I can't remember. I remember heavily using whatever it was to theme the MSN Messenger, whatever it was, Mess with Messenger. Do you remember that was the website?
Just Plus, was it? Or something like that? MSN Plus. Yeah, you needed that thing.
Yeah.
Because, this was in the days when, like, it had an ad bar, right? Because, of course, it did. But that ad bar, like, on a low-resolution screen was like a third of the app.
Oh, fucking.
So you needed MSN Plus to get rid of that.
Don't mess with Mr. T. Mess with Messenger. Now I just don't customize anything. I'm just like, throw my toys out the pram if it isn't perfect right at the box. Well, that's not true. I changed a few settings. Not many.
Speaking of which, this is an appropriate segue, I suppose. Zach, you were talking about things you didn't like about Windows 11 to me yesterday.
Oh,
there's not been many so far, to be honest. Like, it's not as bad as I thought. I mean, the startup, like the initial install process was like, this is where you really see the ridiculous bullshit.
The one-time thing.
Oh, I suppose.
Where it's like, the first thing it does is like, you better log in with your MSN account or whatever.
I suppose you haven't seen that. I guess in Windows 7 that didn't happen every update, right? Where in Windows 10 you get that process every time Windows does a major update.
No, I also haven't had that yet, obviously.
Yeah,
but I was about to be up in arms that you need to be signed into Microsoft to use Windows, but to be fair, I'm signed into Apple.
You have to be signed in on a Mac, don't you? Really?
Yeah.
It's,
yeah, you do. Yeah. Anyway,
but it's just another one of those things where it's just like, I've never liked linking everything to one account. That's why I have all these. That's like why I still don't use a password manager. It's like, I don't want them all in one place. I want them separated, at least a little. But it's like, there was a moment where I was considering where I was like, should I just make a new Microsoft account rather than linking it to my ancient Hotmail account? But didn't bother. And then then you have to go through like the 10 minutes of annoyingly like trying to be over-friendly menus where it's just like, do you want to turn on all these ad services? And it's like, no.
Yeah.
No, I do not.
At least you get the option to turn them off before it starts.
Yes. But then, then you go in and look at all the actual settings. And yeah, I think like the one thing that annoyed me so far is like, you have light and dark mode, but you can't customize those colors. Like you can add accents where it's like, oh, you can make the outline of the windows a different color, but you can't change the actual physical color. Because I think the dark mode is like, I don't know. It's not the exact type of grey I would have had if I could change it.
Yeah, in fairness, 10's always been like that. You can't change like the windowing colours, but you can. Yeah, it's all about the accent thing.
But the accent is so tiny now. Like it's literally, it might as well be 1 pixel around the outside of the windows.
Right.
And it's only on the active window as well. Like it's a highlight basically.
Oh yeah,
which is weird.
So how many different layers of control panel are there that you... Is it just 2? Is it like finally... Or do you eventually get down to the like Windows 95 control panel?
No, I have seen like the previous... the layer below the current layer.
Right.
I did get into that one time, but like...
One layer down. You've never seen the registry or anything?
No, not yet.
Oh, but you always... At some point, you will need the registry.
It's still
yeah.
If you're doing anything hardcore, at some point, you will need the registry.
But the new settings panel is just like... Everything is like... Here, I mean, you click on the system, and it's just like, here's a list of sub-menus in this menu, and you have to click into each of them, and it's like, it does that annoying like pan across, where it's here's the next page of menus, and then there's more arrows to pan you into the next page of menus. It's just like, this is so inconvenient to actually navigate.
Yeah. I've been using Windows 10 since it came out, and even now, I still kind of long for how Control Panel used to be. The new settings panel, I don't know how much has changed in 11, but there just isn't as much. There has never been as much as easily accessible in the new UI. And it's probably for good reason, right? It probably is intended to hide it all away from users who don't know what they're doing, and I get that, but there is no take off the training wheels button. I would really appreciate that, to just be like, fine, use this new UI style. I don't mind the style you've got going here, but you don't need to hide everything. Just push it up a level and let me do what I need to do.
So the problem I was trying to figure out earlier, which is, I don't know, this is not necessarily a problem with like Windows 11. It might just be like, I don't understand how this works, and you might have to tell me about it at some point. But like I was trying to, access my old computer over the network.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like I can get it to when you're looking at it through the new computer, it's like it can see the other computer, so it can see through the network. And then like when I enable the sharing on the files on the other computer, those appear in the window, but then you can't access them. It just says, "Oh, you don't have permission." It's like, what the fuck do I have to do to give me permission then? So
when you tried to access it, does it ask you to log in to the other machine?
No, it just says you don't have permission, and that's it.
Oh, okay. You can top tip. You can try and force the issue by, if you type your PC name into the address bar, you would like / PC name or IP address, and then go /C$. That basically tells it, oh, access the C drive, please. And of course, like if you haven't got that assigned in your like file sharing stuff, that is almost certainly going to put up a please log in prompt.
Well, I think I did see some reference to that maybe you can't do that any longer.
Oh, really? Oh, that would suck.
I think I saw that in passing, but I don't know what that comment was actually saying.
Oh, that would suck for me. I use that all the time for development work. Moving stuff between my PCs.
But yeah, I don't know what's up with that, because like on the old PC, it's like I went into the permissions there, and it's like, well, it's said to everyone is allowed to do everything with this file that I'm sharing. So, and it just doesn't. If it popped up a login, I would just be able to use my login.
Unless it really is
it
just
it says you can't.
Unless it really is that it can't communicate with 7. Unless it considers 7.
It can see it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It knows it's there. It can see that I've shared that folder specifically. Like, it knows that it has permission to see it. It just doesn't get it for some reason.
Yeah, there might be some You might have to try and add. It's difficult though because now you're logged into your new machine with your Microsoft account. It probably doesn't have a local account, so you probably can't add it to the local permissions list of your old machine.
Microsoft Windows, everyone.
File sharing has never been easy though.
No, fair.
But it's not really file sharing. It's just like network access. It's like I don't need it to be always on or whatever, or updating itself automatically or anything. I just need to get those files out of there. Which, at this point, I'll have to use my external hard drive and do it the slow way.
But talking about moving files around, like I was asked to move a file onto my dad-in-law's phone because he needed to play a bit of music, and he's like, well, how do I get this music onto the device so I can play it? And I'm like, that is a very good question. I have no idea how to do this in Apple land. And as it turns out, it was pretty difficult. And even then, you can't get it to play in Apple's music app then because it doesn't recognize it as being from Apple Music or something, or you didn't send it to the device with iTunes or however that even works, which I also couldn't get to work. And I have a Mac.
I think iTunes has been fully replaced now with Apple Music.
But right? I couldn't find a mechanism by which you could then, unless you did a full phone sync, which I didn't. Man. You can't.
Shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, which I didn't want to do, and it's like, and nor should I, because it would have erased everything he had on his phone. And it's so there is no good mechanism for it. So in the end, I found a way. If you can drop it in there, and modern iPhones do have a rudimentary file system.
Yeah,
and you can play it directly from the file system. You just can't play it directly from apps, which is weird.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, really weird. Everything is awful. Everything is bad when you work as a team.
Yeah.
Everything is bad when you work as a team.
My plan was always to make as clean a break as possible as I could with the previous PC, so I'm not intending to move much. So far I've basically moved nothing so far except for, I guess, my Chrome bookmarks.
So are you up and running, able to operate with the new PC primarily?
Well, I mean, yes, but I haven't really done anything on it yet, really.
Right.
I copied the Chrome bookmarks and I've played Satisfactory and Vintage Story, and that's it.
So do you have to copy your bookmarks because you refuse to sign into Chrome so it does it for you? Or?
No, it's because it's on the thing where Chrome doesn't support Windows 7 and hasn't for a year.
Oh, so it
didn't sync anything.
So it never synced.
Yeah, it won't sync. So I'm just I have to manually export them and then just copy the file over.
Right, okay, fair.
But fortunately, that wasn't too difficult. It turns out. There's actually just a button to do that.
How convenient.
And then apart from that, I don't even know what else I might need. So which means that the old PC is going to be hanging around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you got a program of these are the things I need to test work? I need to check that fucking Dwarf Fortress runs on Minecraft with a 50 million mods run.
Well, I'm sure everything will work.
I need to check that Transport Tycoon classic thingy. Whatever.
Well, maybe the old stuff.
Yeah. I'm sure you have a list of things. Don't you want to check them now before you then have to get the PC out the loft to whatever?
Well, I mean, at the moment I actually have 3 PC towers in my room because I've got the even older PC tower that was in the loft.
Are you rotating them? I think it might be time to retire the old one.
That's what I'm planning. It's I'm going to fully disassemble the old one, and then this one can take its place.
Make sure everything's off that hard disk.
Well, I don't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure the old PC was the one that had the hard disk failure, which wasn't really a hard disk failure. It was like a MFT failure or whatever. So the data is still there. You just have to extract it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't need any data off that. That's ancient data at this point.
Depends if it's good data.
Once I disassemble it, I'll probably just keep the hard disks anyway in a drawer because why not?
Yeah, I'm starting to build up a bit of a collection that I should probably start to cull, but in order to cull them, I'd have to do a proper forensic wipe on them, and it's I can't be faffed with that.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you just keep. I already have one hard disk in a drawer that just has a post-it note on it that just says broken.
Great.
So it's it's there.
shoeboxes full of old hard disks.
Yeah. And
I don't even know if I can connect them anymore because they're old serial, not SATA adapters and shit like
Oh
that.
wow, are they like SCSI?
Not SCSI. There was some
IDE.
kind of serial before SATA. Yeah, IDE.
IDE,
That's
yeah.
what I mean. IDE. I don't think I've ever had anything that was SCSI apart from at work. And even then,
I want to say my first PC might have actually have been SCSI. Because I think we tried looking at that
great
hard disk
word.
and was like, oh, that is different.
yeah. And it was SCSI like faster than IDE under certain. I can't remember what it was about SCSI. Anyway,
Oh, I can't remember. No.
Anyway, it's all way of the dodo.
IDE probably was one of those things where they added more channels, right? So more drives could operate at the same time over the same bus
Probably, yeah.
internally. Probably something like that. But maybe the single drive throughput was lower. Who knows? Something like that. That's what usually argument comes up with these sorts of things.
Probably. Presumably, it will run some SATA standard that's way beyond where I was last looking at it, like SATA 5 or something.
I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know what standard they use on the M2s, whether that is basically just a variant of SATA these days or just, over a different connector and different drive style.
Yeah, I have no idea.
3, I think, was the last one I knew of. Last time this machine, I think, is only spec'd to SATA 3. But...
So does yours at least boot quickly? If
Yep, hella
you
quickly.
need to, Zach? Okay, good.
And his deep rock loading times are ridiculous.
Yes, I mean, like when I was playing Deep Rock Solo, just that was actually the first thing I tried was Deep Rock Solo, which is like it's not really a graphical test because it doesn't really look much different when you turn it all up. But I was just like, oh, let's see the load times, and you basically don't actually see the loading screen.
Yeah.
It just goes away instantly.
How did he get in the end?
What?
How much RAM did you get in your PC?
32 gig,
32. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
which is technically only twice as much as I had.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, 16 gig has been the magic number for like 15 years or something like that. I don't know why. Maybe it'll never change.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always said since I bought this thing, 32 gigs of RAM was a mistake when I bought this thing. There's been no need for it.
I feel like 24 might be all right.
Yeah.
I haven't yet played like fully modded out Minecraft to see how much RAM that takes.
Right. Yeah. Is Minecraft even a 64-bit executable? Could it even use that much?
Oh, I don't know, actually.
I mean, the interesting part of all this might not be what you can play, but what you can stream at the same time, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like I can make actual recordings and it would look better.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
Won't be able to do like.
we could try Dwarf Fortress again.
Yeah.
Well, that is the problem because we won't be able to do that immediately because now I won't have, a way to do the multi-input thing. Well, I guess I could still try and use the monitor with the jank-ass system I was using before with like my other alternate headset and all that crap. But
Yeah.
it'd be better if I should just get an actual way to do that for real. Because also this computer, like this is the first time where I'm just like, this computer, no sound card, no network card.
Right.
We'll just use the onboard stuff. And it's fine.
Because you don't need them. Yeah. You haven't needed them for a long time.
But you use Wi-Fi, right?
Yes.
Right. And so that was why you needed a network card, right?
Yes. But also that was the big problem with my last PC because like the network card got interference off the graphics card at the high load and then it fucked up my connection, so I had to run on like a slower setting and all that crap. But yeah, now I have now it just uses the onboard wireless and they give you an actual aerial, so it's like it's attached to the shelf above my PC.
Oh, okay. So you have an aerial plugged into the motherboard, like onboard stuff. Okay, cool, sorted.
And it's way faster. Like it's running at the actual speed the wireless is meant to run at.
Yeah. The newest Wi-Fi standard or whatever.
Well, no, because it's still running to an ancient router.
Okay. Well, maybe you could get the router replaced, man.
Yes, I have been thinking about that as well.
Well, next time your broadband's up for renewal, you can, mention that to the supplier. Oh, I see you've got a new router there.
I mean, I was originally thinking about ordering the router from the same place I was getting the PC because they do those. They just sell them as well. But they didn't. Their like store page for the router parts didn't have like basically any information about them, and I was like, okay, I need actual information before I'll commit to that.
Yeah.
It's like routers got expensive. Like I know everything got expensive, but like they didn't.
You've got a fucking crazy Nighthawk monster.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
I don't think that.
But it wasn't like as pricey as an equivalent is now.
Is now, right?
Yeah, like
I think they got pricey and really capable, right? So I think they're like mostly those pricey ones are like overkill. It's just that they can exist.
Sure.
Like if you have a big house or whatever.
Sure. And if you're going mesh and stuff, which I thought I might need in this place, but turns out I've never needed it. It's fine.
And also, like, literally the number of fucking devices. Like, I have a 1-bedroom flat, and I was counting the devices on the router, and yeah, it's every single Sonos speaker and etc. It adds up.
There was one thing that I did buy as an external thing from when I was ordering the PC, which is an external DVD drive, because I don't have one built into this either.
Oh, right. Huh.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of necessary because the case doesn't have space.
It doesn't even have a
front drive.
Uh-huh.
It's literally a glass panel with 3 fans behind it at the front of this PC.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Are you going to keep it plugged in, or are you just going to bring it off the shelf when you need it?
Yeah, I'll just bring it when I need it, probably.
Nice.
But I can't remember the last time I opened this drive bay on this machine, but I have used it. It has been used. Especially if it like into retro the way we are and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like you're always going to want access to it.
Yeah. I mean, the last few weeks I was using the old PC. It's just like it started doing that thing again where it randomly spins up the DVD drive for no reason, even though there's no disc in it. It's like Windows sometimes just gets into that state where it's always checking.
Weird.
So, thumbs up so far. Good experience so far. Windows behaving itself, not as bad as you thought.
Yeah.
Everything working.
Well, okay. I mean, some old shit that we couldn't get to work, like, my chat clients, my ancient-ass chat clients that were already basically on unsupported protocols anyway.
For IRC or?
No, not IRC. It's like we were using what used to be Google Talk.
Oh, I see.
Became Google Chat, but then you could still do this weird like login hack to basically still use the same client, but like that doesn't work any longer.
Right, so you have to move to some modern platform.
Yeah, it's but that was a very much even on the last PC that was like a super Klingon like. We were barely using that at all any longer.
What do people use these days?
Nothing, apparently. I mean, like, we kept the last time when we had to do that hack to make it work, when Google changed their protocols or whatever, we were just like, what else could we use? It's like, there just aren't any other. Like, no one does, like, straight chat clients any longer.
I mean,
not
Discord.
Discord's
probably the closest you're going to find, I guess, to that sort of room-based.
Well, the problem is, I mean, like, secretly, the reason why we were sticking with this ancient system was because like it gives the program we were using gives like plain text logs,
right?
And you can't do that on basically anything any longer.
No.
Logs of I see, of the conversations. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Why is that not a feature anymore for security or something? Why?
I guess,
but it's your data.
Because like I was looking at, we were talking about whether we could move to Discord, and like there's a I guess you'd always call it modern version of Discord that's called Better Discord that lets you install like plugins and whatnot.
Sorry, the shade. I love it.
Yeah. But it lets you install all these plugins to do like little improvements, sort of like MSN Plus, I guess, from back in the day.
Yeah.
But like even that doesn't have login because apparently Discord is like super against logging for some reason. Like they're fine with all these other slight hacks, but if you hack it to actually record the chat conversations, then you might actually get in some actual trouble.
It's weird, isn't it? Because there's a bit of me that thinks like, well, surely like don't streamers like sometimes put their chat on screen? Does that mean like they're just using Twitch chat? Like they're not using Discord chat for that because Discord doesn't want you to do that? Or
Well, Twitch chat is technically just IRC, right? It's just like a weird wrapper for an IRC client.
Is it?
I believe so.
Just baked into each channel.
But yeah, I don't know. It's just the logging situation is weird.
I wonder if streamers do that, they're literally just like putting a screen cap of it on the screen rather than.
I think that's usually how they do when they're using their Twitch overlays and whatnot.
Right, yeah, and just keyframe out the background or something.
Yeah.
Or key out. Sorry, not keyframe.
Or maybe there is actually like some kind of actual Twitch plugin you can do to just do that, like create a transparent version of it on the back end or something. I don't know. I haven't looked at Twitch for a long time.
No, I think the only time I ever do vaguely look at Twitch is when GDQ's on or something, and even then,
well, I didn't mean look at it like that. I meant look at it on the back end side.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
I've looked at things on Twitch plenty. Not super much. I'm not like a Twitch watcher.
A Twitcher.
Yeah.
Or a twatcher. No, because if you spelt that out, that would be twatcher.
Anyway, moving on. I think it might be time for the news.
You know what? Before we get on to news.
Okay, fair.
You know, how we always used to. I thought of. You know how when we were kids, we would always do alternate lyrics for things.
Yeah.
There was one that just came into my head the other day that I had totally forgotten about, and it's the re-lyric to "This is the captain of your ship."
Oh man,
Do you remember that one?
Calling, we are about to leave.
Because it's this is the captain of your shit. Calling.
Yes.
Yes,
we are about to leave your arse.
That was a very Rob. Yeah.
So go to the toilet, and then you make that sound that echoes all around.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
What reminded you of that? Maybe
probably baby-based antics.
Yeah.
Probably something you sing at the baby while dealing with poop.
Anyway, just thought I'd share.
I just thought you mentioned that you remembered that. I don't think I ever forgot that, frankly, honestly.
It's just been with you every time.
Well, I mean, every time I hear Twan and Conquer music, it's there's so many of those we made alternate lyrics for.
Oh, no, weird.
What do we want? McDonald's.
Although I say alternate lyrics, they had those songs don't have lyrics.
No.
They were just tunes that we sang weird words to.
You got any news?
Not really.
What is going on?
Very little.
Video game wise.
Oh, one more thing about, I guess this is sort of not. This is what I've not been playing. I'm getting ahead of it a bit, but it's still related to my computer. Of course, when you initialize your Windows 11 first time launch, you get a free month of Game Pass Ultimate.
Oh, do you? Huh.
Yep.
Oh. So
I might have to play some stuff, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay, well, that's good. Just to suck you in.
Yeah.
You run that Windows version of No
You
Man.
forget the recurring fee after the first.
Do you have to put your credit card into
Yep,
it?
you sure do.
Oh, right.
Run that
As
Windows
part of
version
the
of No
install
Man's
process
Sky.
of Windows. Well, I mean, the obvious thing is the two games that I'd be hesitant to actually buy at the moment, which is Starfield and City Skylines 2.
Yeah, right.
They're both on there.
They are.
Oh, handy.
You could play Like a Dragon.
Not inside a month, probably.
No, probably not.
Even with my amount of time.
Join us. Well, that's sort of news. The fact that that's happening. What can you get on Game Pass? Yeah. Well, there's news that there will be a trailer for GTA 6 after people were speculating that there would be or something. I don't even know what even leaked because there was no information. And then They're like Rockstar were like, we confirm there will be a trailer next month or something. It's like,
yeah,
what?
there was some rumors flying around that it was going to happen like very shortly after this leak or this thing sort of started. So people were getting like super excited, and it's like, it's going to happen in the next few days. It's going to happen in the next few days. And then it was like, then Rockstar were like, no, it's not happening like soon, but. Hey, we have got some news.
Right, there will be something.
Yeah.
And it was like the day after Donkey made a video, presumably because of the rumours.
I mean, there's been rumours floating most of the year that they were about to do this. I think there was something in summer which had a similar like level of fervour, but Rockstar didn't comment on that at that time.
So this has to be of a level of the GTA 4 trailer is classic, the Red Dead 2 trailer, the GTA 5 trailer is a classic, the Red Dead 2 trailer is a classic. So it has to be on a level of one of those. Yeah, it can't just be a sweeping shot of a beach followed by the number 6 or something like that. Stupid teaser. It has to be a full-blown trailer.
Yeah, so I don't know when it comes to Rockstar though. They might just do that, but otherwise there's too much. Otherwise they've I don't know. It seems unlikely it would be that because they've already sort of played their hand. So it's going to be GTA.
Exactly. So we'll see. What do we know? We think it's probably Miami, right? Vice City, and we think it's got probably 2 protagonists, male and female. I think that's what I've heard. So
yeah, those are the thoughts.
Right, what else going on?
Otherwise, we
25.
Don't know anything about that game really. They're just like what is it? How is it actually going to play? Is it still going to be like a GTA as we know it? What's happening to GTA Online?
Who
what's happening to all the hundreds and hundreds of dollars of stuff you've spent on GTA Online?
Yeah. Which they're still advertising new stuff for, like Thanksgiving updates to GTA Online.
Oh yeah, it's enormous
right now.
Still. Yeah.
Other stuff going on. 25 years of Half-Life. Celebratory update.
See, we screwed up. We did our video 5 years too early.
No, we were doing 20 years.
I see. I mean. It's we did 20 years, and then they came and did this patch 5 years later.
Well, we're doing 20 years of Half-Life 2 next year, so presumably 5 years after that, there'll be a patch for that.
Yeah. Do Valve just prefer 25? Is that what we've learned from this?
I guess it's a quarter century, but it's not as round as 20. Who knows? But they released a patch to make it like run more like it, look more like it did in 1998 on a modern system, with widescreen and stuff, and less of the kind of weird changes that have been patched in over the years. So that's cool.
Yeah, like a demake.
Yeah,
but back to the original, not like not like less than the original, like demakes often are. Yeah,
and complete with restoring the original menu and the original like intro video Valve.
Yeah, I'd forgotten those had changed. But
they've been on for a long time. I think the menu's been different since Steam, like since Counter-Strike 1.6 started time. Yeah,
I think you're right. I do remember the old UI.
I don't know if there's any much. Oh yeah, there's a documentary on YouTube, which is interesting about the development of Half-Life with some choice Gabe Newell quotes and stuff in there. So worth a look. It's quite cool. Is it that there's some interesting stuff, like the one lady who was responsible for all of the textures.
Right.
And like there's some cool shots of where she went out to get reference material, and it's literally all the doors and shit that you recognize from the game, but in real life, which was kind of cool. And just some of the craziness of like this one guy was responsible for all of the audio design, all of the sound effects, and all of the music.
Right. Yeah. I was watching on a sort of similar note, like NoClip put up a documentary about NHL '94. Recently, and then of course that's a bit different, right? But not too many years apart, I guess. But also, like there was like 2 guys that made that entire game.
Yeah,
like one guy did all the graphics, and one guy did all the programming, and that was kind of it.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. If you think what EA Sports is now.
Yeah,
I mean, there was a bit more than that. There was a test team and stuff like that. But yeah, pretty much that's what it was.
Yeah. And NHL 94 is probably more fun than the modern NHL game.
So people say. But does it compare to 2002?
That's the apex, clearly.
Oh, yeah. It's all about the big hits and the ridiculous sounds.
We will do a video of that someday.
Yeah,
listeners.
when I can get around to figuring out how to make it run. It'll probably run just fine, but
we can run that. We'll play the little in-game collectible card game.
Yeah.
Whatever. Cool. What else going on? Drama over at The Escapist, right? Maybe you can explain this, Rob, since you've...
not really. They fired some people, and the rest of the people didn't like that they fired those people, so went and joined those people in voluntary firing. So, the Escapist... they fired the editor-in-chief. Oh, I say they. The parent company, Gamers, spelt really badly, over not meeting their targets, because no one in games journalism who is owned by a parent company seems to meet whatever targets they're set for them anymore. And and so they hired the top brass, and the rest of the staff took umbrage with that. And fair play to them, they all moved shit. Pretty much all of them moved shit, and they've already started their new thing, which is somewhat on the nose, called Second Wind.
Nice.
And is, the classic evolution, I suppose, of these sorts of outfits. It's Patreon funded, and it's entirely independent and will run itself. And don't get me wrong, there's a few of those that have managed to succeed over the years. Easy Allies, I'm looking at you. But they never
breakaway type things.
Yeah, sure. But then
is that what Easy Allies is?
Yeah, pretty much, because they all got basically Game Trailers got
right.
It didn't really get shuttered, but it pretty much got shuttered, right?
Right.
So,
and then there was the offshoot.
Yeah, so then they all came together and formed their own independent thing.
And what's the game giant bomb people?
Nextlander, yeah.
Yeah, don't know how that's doing. I guess that's a name which is supposed to be like Next Land, or I don't know, not as good as Second Wind. But presumably that's supposed to reference that it's has a past.
I suppose obviously the big celebrity there is Yahtzee, who and the Zero Punctuation Show. But the Zero Punctuation Show, the IP is owned by the Escapist, so that's not able to move with him. But yeah, they'd be mad. It just wouldn't work, right? Filling it in with someone else. I don't know.
No.
But it does mean we probably won't get all the the sort of not stick figure, the circle head guys. Maybe all that imagery is technically trademarked.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And the weird gnome goblin things or aliens.
I mean, Yahtzee himself has said there will be something equivalent. It just won't be called that, sure. And it probably won't be able to have the same visual style. But the show will carry on in some form. But plenty of the other Escapist stuff, they were able to bring with them because it wasn't owned. Fully Ramblomatic is already up and running. Things like that. Cool. So if you're a fan of their work, they're still about. You just need to find them at Second Wind. But yeah, games journalism. I don't know. There's nothing about this industry seems stable right now. Right, everyone seems to be struggling on some level. Sites are closing all the time, and it seems to be the only real way to get anything done is to go independent. But then surely we'll hit a wall with that, right? Because there's only so much. There's only so many people that are going to be willing to put down actual Patreon money for a service like this, right? And it's if all of the top tier, what if IGN imploded, right? It seems unlikely because it's a corporate monolith, but if that died, and all the staff picked up somewhere else and were like, oh, we've made a Patreon. That's I don't know, I think we're one of those sites away from it not working and the money being spread a bit too thin.
Potentially, yeah.
Which I think we're in a particularly good place to say, given that we've made $0.
We weren't really aiming to be more from it, though. Yeah.
Lol.
Right. there you go. That's video game journalism news, video game in general news. I think that's all we got. There was some kerfuffle about Ubisoft accidentally turning on some kind of in-game advertising, which they've swiftly turned
Called
off.
a bug.
Yeah, yeah. Claimed it was a mistake. Yeah,
Technical error. No, I'm pretty sure like the ad must have wanted to be in the game. It just appeared at the wrong moments. I think. Like,
yeah.
I would guess is how that's got how they spin it as an error. Because it was, the video I saw was quite egregious. Someone just pulled up the map and it put the ad in front of it. And it's like, okay, that's a bit weird.
Pop-up ads in my game. Jeez.
I mean,
There's one other thing we need to talk about in news before we move on, which we said last podcast because Dan wasn't there. Dan, what's your opinion on Zelda movie?
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, God. I mean, okay. I mean... Good question. I mean, I don't really care, but also I think it's interesting, right? There's they made a success of the Mario movie, certainly in financial terms, but not critically. It's one of those films where if you look at the Rotten Tomatoes, it's got middling critic scores and then a high audience score because it's good and it's good fun and it's for families or kids or whatever, or I don't know, but I was really hoping with the Mario movie that they'd succeed in pulling off a Lego movie, which is obviously almost impossible. But anyway, they didn't. And then Zelda, and it's live action, right? It surely has less chance of succeeding than Mario, or riskier. I would say certainly riskier.
Definitely riskier.
And I realized that there were quotes, and they realized this, right? Obviously, I don't know if it's Miyamoto or someone from Nintendo's we know we could really fuck this up, so we're going to really work really hard. And it's okay, but no one needs a Zelda film, so apart from to make boatloads of money, which is what they did succeed in doing with the Mario movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If there's a chance they can print money, Nintendo will take it.
Yeah.
They'll put two screens on it, and you have to watch it you have to keep looking up and down between the cinema screen and your phone in order to get the full experience.
Yeah. I mean, sure. Fucking play the Mario game. Don't watch the film. Play Wonder, and don't care about a Zelda film. Just play Zelda. End of story. What do you think?
We talked about it on the podcast last time. It's just
I'm
there
so
are
intrigued.
ways it would be interesting. We were talking about what if they did make it a literal silent protagonist, Link never actually talks in the whole movie,
right?
and they somehow make that work. Unlikely, but it would be cool.
Yeah, I mean, they pulled off a faceless protagonist in The Mandalorian to some extent. So
But
he does talk, but you could swap it around. Maybe.
Well, I'd argue that talking is probably more useful for portraying a character than face.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, we were talking about you could maybe a way to solve that is it doesn't have to be. It doesn't Link wouldn't have to be the main character. You could have it be Robbie and Pura or something, and just have them be the main focus, and Link just turns up to do cool shit.
It's not going to be cool like that, though. That's a good idea. It's not going to be cool. A nice idea. I mean, if you had something lower stakes, like a Netflix anime or something, like the Scott Pilgrim one, then yeah, you could do cool stuff. But this will not be cool in that respect.
It will be hella generic.
Man, people are so split on that Scott Pilgrim.
Are they? Okay.
Because
I guess we didn't talk about that on the podcast.
No,
we're back into TV.
Well, yeah, because Zach and I have only seen the first episode of it at the moment, and it's you should be aware that it is multi-series. This is season 1, so it's not.
I just read that they don't want to make a second season.
Oh, well, it's sort of labelled on Netflix as this is season 1, but it also
everything on Netflix is labelled as season 1, and then it gets cancelled.
Not always, because they weirdly Arcane, which they announced is getting season 2 November next year. Get hype! That's marked as a limited series, I think, or isn't marked as a series at all. It just says 9 episodes, on the site. So they didn't even classify it on there, which is strange. So it sort of happens either way. Anyway, but the thing people are most annoyed about is that it isn't a retelling. They change stuff. They change quite a bit of stuff.
It is a retelling, though.
So it's like Final Fantasy VII Part 1 or whatever.
It is more like FF7 remake. Yeah,
right.
Is is what I'm hearing, and that you have to go into it not expecting everything to play out the same. Because I mean, it's more subtle in that first episode, but like they end in a place where it's like, oh, that didn't happen.
Right.
Although that feel, I mean, obviously we haven't seen any more than that, but like that felt like that could easily just be a 1 second gag at the start of the next episode and just move on.
I mean, it could
There's
be.
a way they could totally just bypass that instantly.
It could be, but there's already like storytelling elements they've changed, things that weren't in either the novels or the film. So yeah, expect more of that. Apparently.
But you enjoyed it?
Oh yeah. But I don't know. I felt like the pacing was a little strange, if I'm being honest. Like
That's what I would have said.
It felt a little like they really wanted to get through this. What is the precious little life book? Really, really quickly. Like they just wanted to crack on through all of the opening stuff like at lightning pace, rather than the film does a really good job of setting it all up. You don't really see knives in like a single scene in this version, like at the start of it, where there's a whole like that interaction is like there's a lot of time spent on it in the film, really, isn't it? It's like that's kind of to really make you like feel Knives' betrayal later.
I mean, I would like. It's weird because it's getting through stuff faster, and yet it feels like way lower energy.
Yeah, like the performances, like I guess because it's. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, like perhaps the performances don't feel quite so like. Maybe they don't gel with anime as well as they did with their on-screen personas, right? Like, because it's not too dissimilar from the film. Like if you played the audio side by side, I don't think they'd be that different. But yeah. Anyway, like we'll see. We haven't really had a proper fight scene yet.
No.
Scott Pilgrim. I'm glad it's back. However this goes, I'm glad it's back.
Well, reserve your maximum enthusiasm until every episode is actually out, so it won't randomly cut off midway through the story.
Well, yeah. Assuming this is like that, as Dan postulated, maybe this isn't seasonal, but yeah.
Cool. I think we're kind of out of news.
Kind of done with news.
I think it's time for what you've been playing. Well, you got this Game Pass now, Zach. So,
well, I haven't played anything on Game Pass yet.
But what have you been playing on your new machine?
Well, yeah, like I said, I played Dirk first, which I mean, I'm sure much to Rob's annoyance, I don't even really perceive that it's running better.
What?
Like we talked about how I don't notice frame rates, and it's like, oh, it's running at 120 now, and I'm just like, yeah, this is still just the same game.
So did you upgrade your monitor as well then?
No, it's the same monitor.
Oh, right.
So it may not be capable of showing.
Well, no, yes, it doesn't. My monitor doesn't actually display 120. It's only 60.
Well, then you won't notice a difference, will you?
Well, no, I will, because it clearly wasn't running at 60 before.
Oh, I see. Fair.
But yeah, I don't notice. So I'm like, this is fine. It doesn't even look that different turning the graphics settings up, because obviously Dirk has a style rather than.
Are there not drops like on your old PC where one area is like chuggy and?
Well, the thing that made it like chug on my old PC was like, it's hard to tell because I never could tell exactly what it is, but I think it's to do with like when the terrain is being altered a lot, like when the meteors come down through the terrain. When it's digging the giant tunnel that the meteors leave behind, or like at the start of the mission with the giant robot, and it has to like adjust the terrain to fit that in. I think that made it chug on my last machine, and obviously it doesn't do that any longer.
Okay,
but yeah, apart from that, substantially the same in such a way that I barely noticed. But then I moved on to something where it's like, now this I will notice, because then I went and played a bunch of Satisfactory.
Right.
Because my last machine could sort of barely handle that.
Is that that's 3D, right? I've
yes.
seen that. So is that more about?
That's more about graphics.
Graphics,
yes.
yeah.
And also, I have like update 8 of Satisfactory has just come out, which is the one where they've moved to Unreal 5. So that may not have even have run on my last PC, but I haven't played it since that came out. So
interesting. Does that use the light lumen and all that?
It's weird. It uses nanite a little bit on the cliffs. Like it's only the cliff faces that get that. And I don't know if I can see it that much, but I guess it's like all the graphics are better for me now, so I wouldn't necessarily notice that those specific bits are different.
And also, I guess it depends what the highest detail nanite model they're working with is, right? Because if it's not any higher, then you'll get up close and it will look the same. You just won't necessarily notice the LOD pops if there were any before.
And then it theoretically they've allowed you to turn on lumen, but it's technically not supported. Like they haven't done the work to fully like adjust all the lighting or whatever to make it, as playable as possible. But you can turn it on if you just wanted to look around and have things look fancy. I haven't actually tried that yet, but I probably should. And they're undecided whether they are actually going to do the work to fully support that in the end, because the lighting system in Satisfactory has always been weird. Like for a long time, you didn't actually have lights, like floodlights or whatever, or factory lights to illuminate stuff at night. You just had the global illumination of the world, and that was it. And they went through a whole effort to actually put real lights in. But now, and then they're like, well, you can turn on lumen, but we're not going to do all that work on top of the work we already did.
Right, yeah. I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? This game is already out. Like, I don't know that shifting engine or shifting techniques is necessarily a great idea at this point. Like, I'm sure
it's technically not out, is it? It's still early access.
Is it still early access? Oh shit! I thought it actually came out.
Update 8 is technically going to be the last early access update in theory.
Oh wow! I thought that was out.
No, I mean they still haven't put in the story yet. You have all these random weird alien artifacts around the world that you can pick up that still just say "work in progress" in brackets next to them.
It'd be really funny if that was the story, that the alien artifacts are just working for
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, that obviously runs a hell of a lot better and looks better, but not, I guess, not super better. Again, this is another situation where like it's not like it's a modern looking game, really.
Had to make concessions because of its potential processing complexity, I guess, when you've got
and
gas
because
factories.
It's kind of technically indie-ish, I guess.
Sure.
It's only Coffee Stain. That's not a super. They made Goat Simulator,
Sure.
They're not super hardcore. But yeah, there's that. And then I guess we played some more Vintage Story. Turned that all the way up because that is also surprisingly heavy for like basically Minecraft. You can turn on all kinds of fancy god rays and blue and shit.
They put the super duper graphics pack in there instead.
Yeah, pretty much. But not much to report on that end either, apart from, again, that just... Now that it's not completely pinning my RAM, it doesn't lag every time it autosaves.
I said to you yesterday, but like perhaps some ray tracing is in your future.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, what could I... Well, I mean, so one of the things I have been thinking about immediately going back to, because I literally haven't been able to play it for, like, a year because they stopped supporting Windows 7, was No Man's Sky.
Yeah, you should do it.
So
I don't know if that does that have ray tracing at all?
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
But I've never seen that game on like actual graphics.
I mean,
because that always ran badly from the start, even like in 2016 when it came out.
I mean, you've seen that run on my Xbox though, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't looking at it for like looking at how it looks.
Right. Yeah.
I was looking at you playing it. Just like
sure.
But yeah, I sort of generally felt like I wanted to play No Man's Sky again, but like I literally couldn't.
Weird.
And then that's all I've played. And then beyond that, it's like, well, do I get into these Game Pass games, or do I continue digging through all the games that I want to see in the new situation, even though a lot of them are not going to be graphical?
Well, given that you've only got a month of Game Pass, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's the trouble. Can I get through the whole of Starfield in a month? Probably.
No.
Well,
I mean,
this is
if
Zac,
anyone could do it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's the difference between like like mainlining it and everything, because it's like
Yeah.
if you mainline Fallout 4, you can probably get through it, but like doing everything, that's going to take a million years.
At least find out if you like it.
Well, yeah, there is that. Find out how much of a Bethesda game it actually is, because I'll know.
I mean, it's
And they have,
supposedly fully Bethesda, right? But like, that's good in some ways for the like some of the weird side stories and stuff.
And they have at least recently like unlocked it so it wasn't such an AMD thing. So like NVIDIA,
Right, yeah.
NVIDIA specific options are now in there as well.
And then City Skylines 2 will be the test to see like how badly does this run even on this hardware? Because apparently City Skylines 2 is very badly optimized from all accounts. But they're working on it, maybe, which is why I haven't actually bought that yet. I was like, and I was waiting for the new PC, but at this point it's like, well, maybe I'll wait a few patches, but now I can see it and then wait a few patches.
What's the deal with that game? Is it like looking like it's a decent platform to be a good game in the future?
Well, I mean, people say about like the mechanics of it are pretty good, and like an improvement on the base game of City Skylines 1. But of course, the problem with City Skylines 1 was it had a million DLCs that added all these new features. It's basically like the Civilization problem.
Yeah, the usual.
So that's kind of what I'm interested in seeing is like what does this look like under the base conditions of this game? How improved is it mechanically there? But apparently, it's the graphical problem is that it just is really badly optimized for the graphics part of it.
Oh right, so it's not even the simulation that's
no,
the bottleneck.
It's literally the graphics.
Huh. Maybe they could use some nanite.
Maybe. But yeah, that's one thing that I'm probably likely to look at, I guess.
Yeah.
If not Starfield. We'll see.
Okay, stay tuned.
At least if you do like Starfield, and you commit to it with your Game Pass, will give you a little bit of a discount while you've still got it.
But do I really want to buy it on the Microsoft Store?
Yeah, well, could you even transfer your progress, though?
For a Bethesda game, I would reckon you probably could.
Probably.
I reckon that's probably just like a file you can move.
Right. Well, if you can access the files in Windows Store out of games,
I suppose.
That's not always a thing.
But again, Bethesda. I would expect maximum dank.
A fair assumption.
Alrighty. Rob, in between your various injuries / illnesses, what have you been playing?
Yes, what have I been? Nothing particular. Well, okay, there's one new thing, but I'll finish up some stuff I actually finished.
Yeah.
So, Thirsty Suitors. If you listen to the last podcast, I had made a start on that, which can only be described as a skateboarding, an Indian infused, South Asian infused skateboarding relationship RPG. With some quick time cooking. So I finished that thing, and so. I think I started falling off of it a little bit because I was quite happy with it at the last podcast because it was I don't know, it felt quite fresh. The animations are weird and all over the place. The music is excellent. The skateboarding is good enough to make you keep trying to hit the challenges. It's no Tony Hawk, it's not by a long shot, but it's got its own unique take on it. That's at least some amount of entertainment. The RPG fights kind of started off promising with their mechanics and the way that was opening up. But essentially, it never really became much more than that, is my kind of problem. The RPG mechanics didn't really open up all that much. The skateboarding never got any more interesting than that. And if anything, like the actual like underpinning of the game, which is the story and the writing of it all and how it all came together, that actually just ended up feeling a little bit of a drag towards the end. Like it is well written and it is funny in places, and it is wild in other places and stuff like that. But it's like I never really felt. I don't think it really stuck the landing in its core concept, right? The whole sort of premise of the game is that you've returned home after unceremoniously leaving the village 3 years ago and chasing a woman, as you do, and then you come back to find everyone's pissed at you because it's like, because of course they are, and you end up Scott Pilgrim style going and fighting your exes to reconcile your differences. Except that those never really felt like they nailed the reconciliation part of it. Like, you just had a fight and you got angry at each other, then suddenly you're friends. You know, it ended up feeling quite weird in places. And maybe that's how reconciliation works. I don't know. Maybe it is just a fight until suddenly then people just go, "We good? All right." But yeah, I don't know. It didn't end up. And it didn't quite feel like it fulfilled the start, is what I'm getting at. But as I say, some of the music is excellent. And you get to, high-five a dog.
You get to high-five a dog?
You get to high-five a dog. You don't just get to pet the dog, you get to high-five a dog.
I mean, they added so many features to Tears of the Kingdom, but they still didn't add petting the dog. So,
No.
I mean, so yeah, any game where you can high-five a dog, definitely worth some points.
So yeah, I finished that. I will say the ridiculousness of the ending fight is kind of cool, but then again, as it really reconciles, like in that, and as the story ends up finishing, it's just, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was it felt a little hollow at the end as well. And there's one particular element of your persona that you just sort of dismiss at the end, and it's just like, oh right, so we're not actually going to address this properly, or it's just bye. Okay, it felt like there could have been more to it in places, but yeah. Anyway, that's that. It's fine. I'm sure some people will gel with it better than I did. I like the South Asian element of it, to be honest. Like, that whole vibe is kind of fun. The whole Ms. Marvel vibe. If you yeah, that's kind of neat. And all of that sort of bleeds into the music as well. So it's like you might be listening to a bit. There might be a slightly rockier track, but it's got that little hint of that sort of, conga drums and sitars in the background and things like that. It's really well done. Good job, soundtrack, man. Yeah, so there was that. What else did I finish? Can't remember what it was now. There was definitely something. Oh, Detective Pikachu. There you go. I finally finished that. Same deal, really. That never hits a crescendo.
Finally.
So that kind of, yeah, that was kind of wet blanket finish. Really, it doesn't even do the film thing. Like, see, obviously, spoilers for the film. You get to figure out where Harry is. And that's not a thing here, which I guess explains how Detective Pikachu Returns could be a thing. It's a weird game. It's a weird game.
Well, where do we go from here with Detective Pikachu, our favourite coffee-loving?
Well, they just need to make
Pokemon
puzzles that
detective.
are meaningful, or like actually have some amount of, I don't know, like you don't want a lot of challenge in a game like that, but you want at least to feel a little bit smart about what you're doing. And these are all, there's no like rhythm to the difficulty on this. Sometimes they are the easiest thing in the world, and sometimes they were very slightly like, I had to put a little bit of thought into that. But the last few bits of the game are in that incredibly easy category, and it's like, ugh. In fact, one of the very last things you do basically involves you walking around an area, poking the big Pikachu button to be like, is this an interesting bit of map? And it's like, well, I kind of knew where I wanted to go, but where precisely it wanted me to go to trigger the speech. I had to just keep wandering and finding that specific point and hitting the Pikachu button and have him go, no, I don't think that's interesting. And then it's like, oh no, this is interesting. It's like, that's what I was trying to tell you, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's I'm not quite sure why it got the high reviews, that it seemed to in the original, and now makes the reviews of the sequel a bit more
right, because it's kind of skewed weirdly.
Yeah. So there is that. Well, which has now opened me up to start something new, and that something new is Cocoon.
Oh, cool!
Because that came
so many good reviews for this.
Yeah, yeah, because that's out on Game Pass, and yeah, that's a cool ass game.
Yeah, tell us about it. I don't think I know much.
So it's in the sort of, I would put it in the same camp as sort of Fez and Tunic style aesthetic, right? So it's that.
Yeah,
it's basically an entirely wordless puzzle game. There's never any speech in it at all. There's never anything to read. There's like the only bits of text in the game are like the pause menu and presumably the credit sequence if I ever hit it. But yeah, you're effectively this like moth man who gets born at the start of the game, and your only real abilities are to walk around and to carry stuff. So you eventually start finding ways to interact with the world, and you start progressing through until you come across the titular cocoons, which are in themselves these little spheres with an entire world inside. And so you can jump into that world at these teleport points, and then you go into it at that spot, and then you can do stuff in that world. But where it gets like starts to get a bit mind bending is you get to the point where you have multiple cocoons, and you can bring cocoons into other cocoons, but where you pop in and out of those cocoons is based on where you last were in those cocoons. So there are puzzles around jumping in and out of the worlds and bringing what you need to bring with you in and out of those worlds. But then those cocoons also bestow abilities upon you after you defeat the bosses. So then they become might need to have a specific cocoon with you to get past a specific thing, and it's all very cool. It's all very like the difficulty is variable, but it's some of the puzzles have definitely been harder to figure out than others. But it's I'm about halfway through, and it's still throwing new stuff at me. It's cool. The one thing, my one sort of like gripe against it is like I don't think the boss fights are very fun. They have there are bosses, and they're pretty much like a pattern recognition, like get out of the way kind of fight. There isn't, because you don't really have any particular abilities, and sometimes the abilities or the thing you get to do during the fight is unique to that fight. But then that leads to the sort of problem where the fight itself is very trial and error. You go into it not really knowing what you're going to need to do, and it's a one-hit kill fight. It just the bosses will just throw you out of the cocoon if you get munched by it in some way. And so that process of like go back in, try it again, fail because I didn't know it was going to do that. Go back in, try it again, fail. Oh, it did something different because of course it's got a second phase. Or that one boss that had multiple phases and just kept going. It's like, and you get to the last one, you're like, oh god damn, now I need to do the whole thing again. Yeah, the boss fights have been like the least fun part of this thing, which is a shame because like I guess they punctuate the experience with a slight change of pace, but they also kind of take away from it just being a pure puzzle game, right? You do actually need to have a little bit of reflexes and a little bit of real time stuff to figure out what's going on, which may be a put off for some people.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm really into it. I think it's properly cool. It's got a lovely ambient soundtrack.
Nice.
Just blipping and blooping and dynamically moving in and out of phrases as you move around the environment. Yeah. It's a neat thing. You should check it out, and it looks lovely as well. Like it sort of goes for a mostly flat textured look, but obviously throws in lovely lighting effects, and so your cocoons give off light everywhere, and so they shimmer off the pipe work of the hub world, and they cast out god rays themselves when you're in dark areas. It's like it's a really good look.
Lovely. So,
yeah,
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up.
Rob recommend.
2 Mothman wings up.
But not like kaiju sized moths.
no, not Mothra wings up.
Not Mothra, but just moth size. Okay.
Yeah, it's a cool game. It's a cool game.
Sweet. Is that on? Sorry, did you mention? Is that on Game Pass?
It is indeed on Game Pass. Yes.
Sweet. Oh well, tempting, Zach.
Yeah. That was one of the things that I saw in the list. I was like, oh yeah, maybe I should look at that.
You actually could get through that for sure, but maybe you should.
It won't be pushing any graphical limitations, but it's it's probably worth a play
for sure.
I don't think it's super long. As I say, I've only been playing it I've only had a couple of proper sessions with it, and I'm already halfway through. So, because you can tell in the load menu, shout out to the load menu, because there isn't like game saving or anything. It's tracking it before you, but like, so you go into the load menu and it tells you your percentage of how far through. But you can like step back for like a super fine grain level, and like each percent or something, you can like rock the load bar back and be like, no, I want to go in at 22% of the game, and it's like. It's a pretty cool representation of that system. It just saves everywhere through the game, presumably so you can go back and get stuff you missed afterwards. Of which I don't think there's much. I don't think there are side things to find. There's an equivalent of a collectible, I guess, but there aren't many of them. And they're not deal breakers. There's just achievements tied to them. So yeah, recommend. And that's me. Nice.
In your cocoon.
Well, I suppose my house is a bit of a cocoon at the moment. Nobody in or out.
No one in or out. Playing zone.
Contained.
Right. What have I been playing? Oh, Super Mario Wonder. Whatever it's called.
Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Thing. Yeah, I have been continuing.
Small indie title, you know.
Yes. I don't know how much more I have to say. I'm making my way through it. I will say that, like, I have the same feeling that I have probably since I first played Mario, that I'm fucking terrible with the Hammer Brothers. I cannot deal with that enemy. I don't know why. It's the arc of the hammers. It's probably unchanged since 1985. But when I see like 2 or 3 of them standing on those platforms, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake.
They were always really difficult.
They're bastards. And so there are some levels, forms of levels in Wonder, which are like combat challenges, and they're multi-tier, multi-level. So it's like kill all the enemies on this screen, and then go up the pipe, kill all the enemies on the second screen, third screen, and then the fourth screen when you're about to die, a bunch of Hammer Brothers, obviously. It's like, god damn.
You at least pop your held power-ups or something at that point.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you totally can. Stuff like that. There are things to help. Like that actually gives you those ones. They give you a choice of which power up you want to start with.
Oh, nice.
So you can pick whether you want to be the elephant or wowie zowie.
Would you like me to be the elephant?
So yeah, they are fun. I mean, when I'm looking at what kinds of levels there are to choose from, it's like normal levels, and then there are the kind of cat badge challenges. They're the ones that can get super hard relatively.
Cat badge. So the cat suit's in there somewhere.
The badges. Sorry, not cat. Yeah. And then just like break time ones, but then it's like, oh, okay, this one's a combat trial thing. It's like, I'm not super excited when I see those ones, but when I do them, they are actually quite fun. I just got murderized by a bunch of Hammer Brothers last time, so slightly, but still, it's all good. And I'm making my way through the worlds, consistently inventive and fun. And I did play some 2-player.
Oh,
because it has like a full blown. You can play up to 4 players. And that worked. It wasn't super sophisticated. Like the camera definitely tracks.
It picks one player.
Basically picks someone. I guess we played it, didn't we? At EGX. So it's exactly like that. It's a bit less focused than if you're doing it yourself on one player, obviously, because it's kind of chaotic. But and the system for like rescuing people once they turn into ghosts, once they've fallen down a hole or something, is absolutely fine. And fairly generous, honestly. So yeah, that was pretty fun.
Yeah, it's an alternate way of playing it, but I guess if you're if you want to fully enjoy it, it's like solo is probably still the way to at least do the bulk of it.
Because you boot up the game you play and it's like pick your character, and it's like, well, I'm going to be Mario. Like when you're playing on your own, like when it's more players, I was like, oh, I'll try out different characters and you could be a Toadette or whatever. But they play the same, unless it's
Yoshi's
Yoshi or Rabbit or Nabbit or whatever, which is like easy mode or whatever, which I haven't tried. But yeah, obviously I'm going to pick Mario.
Oh, give Luigi some love, man.
Yeah, well, I played Luigi when it was 2-player. Yeah. And the voice is decent enough for Luigi as well as Mario.
Well, yeah. What if it's still the same? Like, because obviously it's not Chris Martinet doing the Mario voice anymore. But what if it's like whoever's playing Mario is also playing Luigi
how many
now?
of them are there? Yeah, it's hard to tell. Well, I still don't.
I wonder if that'll come up in the credits.
Yeah, people wondering. But yeah, that game.
And more importantly, will the same guy end up playing Wario and Waluigi?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For WarioWare, etc. There is a new WarioWare game, isn't there? So surely.
Smooth Moves, I think it was. Yeah, it came out on the Switch not that long ago.
Yeah. So that's what I've been playing, and it continues to be a joy and a lot of fun.
Excellente.
I think that's all I've been playing. Apart from trying to play some Magic the Gathering with my constructed decks that I bought, which is, it's interesting how much I've missed from that whole game in the 15 years or whatever since I paid attention to it. I did buy some cards from the Ravnica with John Barlow back in the day. That was 2000, and now I'm looking back. That was 2005.
Oh wow, yeah.
So for me, that was like, modern Magic cards post my a 90s period or whatever. But yeah, that is now a very old set. But I think Ravnica is coming back again next year, maybe.
Like a reissue or a remaster.
Yeah, but I'm sort of curious about it now because it's amazing how much of the original cards that we played with at school in the 90s are still famous and relevant.
Right. Yeah. I guess some of them may have been tuned or slightly modified over the years, but they're still in the core game.
Yeah, like the deck that I bought that was green and red, like my deck I had at school, it had Llanowar elves in it. It has Llanowar elves, and it has a dragon and stuff. Yeah, it's essentially the same. And I see there's a newly released, for this Commander format, there's a Sliver deck, obviously. Slivers are all over the place. So you could probably mix in some of your old Sliver cards. And
I say nice, but they're still probably impossible to use.
Well, no, I think it depends.
If it's a Commander deck, but the Queen Sliver should be even better now, right?
Yeah,
the
Commander. Yeah. So this Commander format, I've never tried it, but yeah. Oh, actually, maybe we should give Commander format a go. We'd have to get all the cards together, I suppose. But you need ideally 4 players, right? I think for Commander.
No idea.
Yeah, it's 4-player multiplayer, all v all, and it's you start with 40 life each, and then you have this. You designate one card, like the Sliver Queen or whatever, as your Commander, which you can play multiple times. Is that right? So if it dies, it goes back there, and then it just costs more the next time you want to play it. Is that right?
Yeah, I think
something like that. Right. Yeah. It looks kind of fun because 40 life and everyone not attacking, focusing on different targets means the game can get much longer and more insane because it ends much less quickly.
Well, as everyone picks on the one person, just be
then they're out.
Let's take you out.
That's the main problem with it, of course, is when it's 1v1, there's no politics of ganging up on people, which there is in Commander, which is dumb. It seems like just in general, the tactic is don't look dangerous and then suddenly win at the end, right?
Here's my trap card.
Yeah.
We're suddenly playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You've been fooled this entire time.
Yeah, bamboozling. Anyway, that's not a video game, but I don't really understand why Magic Arena is not. Is it on purpose that they don't they haven't developed it for PS5, Xbox? It's not available.
It's stayed on mobile, hasn't it? But
they seem to be quite stubborn about it. I'm not sure why. Surely they could make a boatload if you could just sit at your.
Yeah, I don't know. For a while, I felt like there was still some like perhaps there were 2 series as running still, like right. So the Arena came out, but they were still making the sort of consoleized, stripped down versions.
I'm not sure.
I don't know if that changed at some point. Maybe there was some licensing deal between the 2.
Maybe it is some legal thing, but it does seem a bit mysterious that you can't just play play that version of Magic on PS, PlayStation, Xbox, etc.
Is there a PC version at least? Or
I think Arena is on. Is it on Steam, or do you have to get it through like an app store? Or there's probably a Microsoft app store. I don't know. Let's have a look. Anyway.
MTG.
It is on Steam. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I've been playing.
Word.
How are we doing? We're early at the end of this podcast.
Quite a bit. But then it's I don't know. I think it's slightly harder to form my normal scathing review pattern when I'm a little bit under the weather.
Yeah, may need to cut it a little short this week for rest and recuperation.
I can do with that.
So thank you for joining us. Do check out our YouTube channel, Happy Salad. We have we finished our longer Let's Play, so we're on to the murder of Sonic the Hedgehog, which is fun and quite funny. So check that out. There'll be a part 2 coming.
It's a stupid game.
It's pretty dumb, but it's pretty funny. And we see, and between us, we know some mysterious amount of Sonic lore that we can apply our brains to.
And Loeb lore.
And Loeb lore. Thank you. The lore that we are manufacturing for Loeb, our protagonist, who is pretty passive. Let's face it. Loeb doesn't do very much.
Classic protagonist, really. Like,
yeah, it's true.
Classic video game protagonist, anyway.
Yeah. Cool. So check that out on YouTube, and we'll be back in another couple of weeks with another one of these here Saladcasts. So hopefully catch you then. See ya.
Eat your salad.
Your salad eat.